He told me distance would make us stronger. That love didn't disappear just because two cities stood between us. That trust was enough. And I believed him. While I was counting down the days on a calendar, while I was staying awake, waiting for his calls, while I was defending him when people said long-distance relationships never worked, he was falling in love with someone else. I didn't find out by accident. I found out because the truth just got tired of hiding. We didn't start broken. We started hopeful. When his job required him to move to another city, we promised each other it was only temporary. 6 months, maybe a year tops. We made plans for visits, for video calls, for our future together. I remember the night before he left so clearly. He held my hands and said, "No matter how far I am, you're still my home." I must have replayed those words in my head 1,000 times over the next few months. At first, everything felt normal. We had our good morning texts, our long phone calls, our late night laughter through a screen. I chose to ignore how tired he always sounded. I ignored how distracted he was becoming, because love teaches you to make excuses for the things that hurt. But then something changed after a few months. It wasn't sudden, it was quiet. The calls got shorter, the replies got slower. Busy became his favorite word. When I finally asked if something was wrong, he'd just smile and say, "You're overthinking. Work is just really stressful." So I stopped asking. I started shrinking instead. I stayed up at night, wondering if I was asking for too much, if missing him made me needy, if loving him somehow made me weak. He still said, "I love you," but it started to feel rehearsed, like a line he'd memorized for a play. The first real red flag I ignored came one night during a video call. His phone buzzed, and he instantly flipped it face down. I tried to joke about it, someone important. He laughed, but it was too quick. "Just a colleague," he said, but his eyes didn't meet mine. I felt something twist in my stomach, but I swallowed it down, because I thought trust meant staying silent. The woman I didn't know existed. She wasn't a stranger, and that's the part that still hurts the most. She worked in the same building as him, same department, same late hours. She was the one who listened to his stress, his frustrations, his loneliness, all the things he had stopped sharing with me. I didn't know her name back then, but I could feel her presence. I felt it in the long pauses in our conversations, in the emotional distance between us, in the way he no longer seemed to need me like he used to. The night I finally asked him directly, my voice was shaking. I said, "Are you emotionally close to someone else?" He sighed, like I was exhausting him. "You're just imagining things," he said. "It's nothing serious." Nothing serious. Those two words would come back to haunt me, because what he called nothing was slowly becoming his everything. The discovery wasn't about me snooping. That's important to say. We shared a cloud account for photos. One day I opened it to find a picture I didn't recognize. It was his hand holding another woman's coffee cup. The timestamp broke me. It was from a day he had told me he was too tired to talk. My heart pounded in my chest as I kept scrolling. There were messages, voice notes, photos meant for someone special. And then I read it. A message that said, "I can't wait until we finally meet properly. Just us, in another country. No more hiding." My hands went numb. This wasn't just emotional anymore. This was a planned escape. This story is incredibly hard to share, but I know someone out there needs to hear it. If you've ever felt that quiet, sinking feeling, you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing for more stories about healing and finding your way back to yourself. I called him the second I found out. He didn't answer. Hours went by. When he finally picked up, his voice was just calm. Way too calm. I told him to explain. He hesitated, and then he said the words that shattered everything. "It just happened. You were far away. She was right here," as if a few miles on a map could excuse betrayal. He admitted it all, piece by piece. The emotional connection they built, the late-night calls, the promises he made to her. And then he confirmed my worst fear. They had already crossed that line. He didn't beg for forgiveness. He tried to justify it. He said he was lonely. He said I wasn't present enough for him. That the distance changed him. He actually said, "I never meant to hurt you," but he meant to hide it, didn't he? And somehow that deception hurt more than the act itself. The cruelest part of all this, I still loved him. Even after knowing everything, a part of me wanted to believe his apologies could fix it. But trust isn't something you can glue back together with words. Every good memory we had suddenly felt contaminated. Every "I love you" he ever said now echoed with lies. I kept asking myself the same questions over and over. How can I forgive someone who was planning a future with somebody else? How can I rebuild trust across an ocean when honesty already failed up close? Can love really survive this kind of betrayal? The moment of clarity came late one night. I was alone, and I decided to reread their messages. This time, I wasn't looking at them with anger, but with cold, hard clarity. I saw how he laughed with her, how he shared his dreams with her. He was talking to her the same way he used to talk to me at the beginning. And in that moment, something powerful clicked inside my head. I wasn't in the process of losing him. I had already lost him a long, long time ago. So I made my decision. I didn't scream at him. I didn't expose him on social media or beg him to choose me. I simply chose myself. I sent him one final message. It said, "I hope the distance you blamed teaches you something about honesty. I won't compete for someone who forgot my worth." And then I blocked him everywhere, on every app, every platform. My silence became my power. Healing wasn't an overnight thing. Not at all. There were nights I missed him terribly, and mornings I woke up, doubting my decision. But slowly, things started to change. I started sleeping through the night again. I found myself smiling at little things. I stopped compulsively checking my phone for a message that would never come. In the end, it wasn't the distance that broke us. It was the dishonesty. Here's what this whole nightmare taught me. Long-distance relationships don't create cheaters. A person's character does. An emotional affair is never harmless. It's the quiet beginning of the end. And true love should never, ever make you feel like you're replaceable. If you're re-watching this right now and you re-questioning your own worth because of someone else's actions, please listen to me. If they're telling you it's nothing serious, but your heart feels heavy and your gut is screaming that something is wrong, listen to that feeling. Love is supposed to feel safe. Trust should be steady and unwavering, and distance should be a challenge you face together, not an excuse for abandonment. Sometimes the hardest goodbye you'll ever have to say is the one that ends up saving you. Thank you for listening.